Welcome to the March 22nd webinar. Topic is Zoom online resources. This is a 3 of a 4-part series on Zoom training. Angela will be providing the information on the best practices to utilize Zoom as your online platform for club meetings and area and division contests, speech contests. Could everybody please make sure their phone is on mute unless they're speaking? Thank you. Angela works with the self-managed professionals as results strategist with the Authentic Compass Incorporated. Angela is a DTM, currently serving as District 45 Division B Director and is the Director for the state of Maine. Angela is the president of the Maine Thing Advanced Toastmasters. Please, everyone, welcome Angela.
Thank you, Carolyn.
You're welcome.
Unexpected change is disrupting every aspect of our lives. Our work, our family, our worship, our purchasing habits, our play, our routines, and even our Toastmasters journey. Some of you or someone you know is trying really, really hard to meet that legacy deadline coming up for their DTM. This is just plain disruptive. So what is our district doing about it? We are being overloaded with everything. We're being overloaded, I don't know about you, but I'm assuming all of you, show of hands, in your inbox from everybody, in your news media, everybody, social media, everybody. The World Health Organization, the CDC, our governments, everything is shutting down. Everything that were normal, nothing's normal anymore. Normal is not normal. Even Toastmasters International is not normal anymore. Unexpected change has disrupted everything. And we've been mandated to social distancing, and we've been required to adapt. So what is District 45 leadership doing about this problem? We're all under stress. We are fortunate. Our District 45 leadership they jumped on this issue immediately. Jonathan took handle of everything and said, we've got to do something to help our members because our members are straight up in front of everything here. They acted quickly and they responded quickly. And our district leadership is doing a great deal for you during this time of stress and disruption. So we're all in this, like Carolyn said just a few minutes ago, we're all in this together. Welcome to the discomfort zone. We're all here together and we're going to help each other through this. One of the things that District 45 did is they chose to purchase or authorize purchasing of a pro account Zoom program so that all of us could meet online so that we could continue meeting. Someone's got some pre-music playing, but we want to make sure we and so they have authorized that for our area directors and our division directors so that we can get every single club meeting online. Why?
Angela?
So that you are not disrupted.
Angela,
Yes.
just interrupt for a second. There's a lot of people not on mute. Can you please all mute yourself?
Carolyn, if they're not on mute, you have the ability as host to mute them for them.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking at that.
Okay, so we'll continue as she's taking care of that. Why Zoom? Now, I'm Division B Director, and there are some people that have chosen, and for various different reasons, most are going ahead and saying, yes, we're going to jump on Zoom. We're going to learn this new platform, and we're going to move forward with not only our meetings, but our contests, our speech contests as well. Some people, especially our corporate clubs, use WebEx already. they're comfortable with WebEx, and they're going to continue to use WebEx. Some folks are going to use or have chosen to use Google Meet. And some people are still trying to decide what they're going to use. I'm going to make a case here and now. It's a free country. You can do whatever you want, but I'm going to make a case that all of us look at using Zoom. And there's 3 reasons. The first is, as those of us have the ability to visit other Carolyn, you muted me.
Yeah,
I'm back.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 reasons why we want to consider Zoom. The first one is, as we are moving forward in this, we have the ability to join other clubs, not just in our area, not just in our division, not just in our district, not just in our region, but across the world. And if we're all using Zoom, we don't have to use a different platform. We have the ability, for those of you who need to get speeches in before the June 30th deadline, this is a brilliant opportunity for you to reach out, get those speeches done, reach out to all kinds of clubs and say, hey, I need to do a speech. Are you looking for a speaker? And I bet they'd say, yes, come along. The second reason is, as we move forward, our district leadership has decided that we are going to have the international speech contest at the district level only. For those of you who are having and teaching all of your members to learn Google Meet or WebEx and get comfortable with that, realize, should they get to the point where they actually need to compete at the division level or the district level, they will be competing on the Zoom platform, and they will have to learn a new platform anyway. So that's the second reason. And the third reason is, you will learning another skill outside the realm of that you already know is not necessarily a bad thing. They are very similar. It won't be difficult for you to learn a new one. So like I said, your clubs can do whatever you want, your areas can do whatever you want. But those are 3 very good reasons to jump on the bandwagon right here and right now while we're all learning Zoom. How many of you, by show of hands, and not everyone's on camera, but show of hands, are familiar with Zoom before 2 weeks ago? Okay. How many, this is new and scary and way outside your comfort zone? Yeah, it's okay, because there's a learning curve here. And one of the things that my mentor said when I joined Toastmasters is, this is the place to fail. We will have glitches. We will have tech problems. We will have computer problems. We will have lighting problems. We will have sound problems. We will have problems. We will overcome those problems together. We just need to give each other grace. Okay, so let's start with the first half of this. Is we're going to talk about meetings. So let's just talk. How many of you, just with a show of hands, can you tell me, have never, you weren't on the first, this is part 3 of a series of Zoom trainings. How many of you have never participated in a Zoom meeting before? Didn't attend the main thing? How many do you think? Carolyn, how's it look out there for numbers that way? We've got a bunch of you. Okay, so let's just talk about the high-level overview of Zoom. For those of you that are not familiar with Zoom and did not participate in the Q&A or the main thing, a meeting that we had earlier this week, Zoom is a video conferencing platform. It's widely used and it's easy to use, and we'll all jump on that. Things we need to know about how to use it. Signing in is a really good thing, easily to get a link. It's really, really important. If for some reason you set your Zoom meeting up with a password, that you actually provide your attendees with the password or take that one out. So we had a little bit of that glitch today. It happens, we'll get past it, no problem. In video, it's really, really important. A couple of different things. The concept of video is that you are seen. Now, I live in a log home. My home has my office has a tendency to be dark. So I need to have a lamp in front of me so that you can actually see my face. Some of you might not realize that if you have a light behind you or a light above you, you may be sitting with your face in shadow. It's really important as you're presenting in the meeting that people see your face. That's what we really want to see. So really be careful. If you have to add a couple of different lamps, do it. Pull a light in, whatever. You don't have to spend a lot of money to be seen, but just make sure that you've got some light on your face. We want to see your pearly whites. That's just the way it is. Sound. As you've heard on here, when you're not muted, everything you do, whether it's paper, whether it's a dog barking or a baby crying or a train going by or a truck going by, we can hear it all. So it's really, really careful. It's important. Now, some have special mics. I just use earbuds, and it brings it down a little bit, makes it a little bit quieter. When you're not speaking, it's really, really important, as Carolyn mentioned, to have yourself muted. There's also 2 views. You could go out and buy a really expensive microphone and you could have a sound booth room. It's not necessary. You don't need to have an extensive expense to make this Zoom work for you and for your club, for your membership and for your participation. The view screen in your upper right-hand corner, if you were on a PC, you have the option of doing speaker view and gallery view. Now, I call gallery view Brady Bunch, the Brady Bunch screen, where we get to see a lot of your smiling faces. Some people like to put it on speaker view when you've got a speaker speaking. So that way their face is largest. I personally like to always keep it on gallery view because I like to see all of you. Just like when we're speaking at a meeting, it makes a big difference whether you're speaking to yourself, practicing your speeches, or you're speaking to an audience. This gives you an opportunity to have an audience while you're talking, so you don't feel like you're talking to yourself, right? True, it is true. Another thing that's kind of important is you've got at the bottom of your screen, you've got a toolbar. You have the ability to mute yourself. You've got ability to stop video. Heaven forbid you have to have an emergency and you need to leave the room. You've got someone sick, something happens. It's easy to just plain stop your video and return, rather than jumping up out of your seat or running around with your phone or taking your laptop and walking through the room, because I have a very sensitive stomach and it makes me nauseous when people are walking around. Okay, so try not to do that. If you're using your phone, you have the ability to sign in with your phone as well. Try to put your phone in some kind of a holder so that it's not shaking around, giving the same effect. Chat. We have the ability to have a chat room. In that chat room, you can ask questions, you can leave comments. It's really important to do just what Carolyn did today and have a chat master who takes care of looking at the chat box, because it's distracting to the Toastmaster and it's distracting to the speaker to try to keep track of that rolling screen of questions. So we've added a chat master to our roles in our club roles. Your Toastmasters journey, what we don't want to happen is to have your Toastmasters journey take a hiatus because of the coronavirus. We have to do social distancing. It's not necessary. Now we realize that priorities are changing and flexing all the time. But we now have found ourselves, many of us, there's two schools. There's those of us that are home and have more time on our hands than we've ever had before. This is our opportunity to plug in. And then we have those that are working insane, crazy hours. You know who you are? Those are your physicians, and those are your nurses, and those are your PAs, and those are all of those people that are working insane hours. And we may have those in our Toastmasters clubs. We need to give them grace too, because their priorities are changing. So either way, reach out to your club members and say, hey, how's it going? If you have someone who's unplugged for whatever reason, it might be really, really kind and generous to reach out to them and say, would you like to have a one-on-one Zoom conversation with me so that you can feel comfortable with it before you step into the club atmosphere? Sometimes all it takes is one little tiny bit person say, hey, check this out, before they're in front of the entire club. Let's see, how are we doing for time, Carolyn? Keep track here.
8:17. 8:17.
Perfect. Meetings. This is a video conferencing platform, which means that it's not going to take away from everything that you currently are doing in your Pathways projects and your free Toast host, signing up for roles or whatever website that your club is currently using. It's important that you continue to try to keep things just the same as they always were. The only thing we're changing is how we meet. This gives us options though. We no longer have to travel. We can attend a meeting after another meeting after another meeting without having to travel. I live in Maine, so I'm traveling 45 minutes in one direction, 45 minutes in another direction, an hour and a half in another direction. You don't have to do that. It's just click and you're done. You can possibly attend several different meetings without having to do anything except go get yourself a glass of water. How fun is that? It gives us cool options. Other benefits of having your club's meetings right now and learning this skill now. We live in Maine. We get a lot of snow. Those of you that are in Canada, you get a lot of snow. New Hampshire, you get a lot of snow. Sometimes we have meetings that are interrupted because of weather. The travel is dangerous and it's too slick out there. Once this whole thing blows over and life gets back to normal, if you have the opportunity for your club to meet on Zoom, instead of having to cancel your club, look at the options that you have. So this skill level will extend out past this particular virus situation that we find ourselves in. Okay. Jonathan and his team of brilliant people, and he has a team of brilliant people, have been sending all kinds of really cool stuff. Michael Thompson, you too. Michael Thompson has been gathering all kinds of cool things that he has found in the official Toastmasters International Facebook group, and he has forwarded all kinds of really cool documents, how to, and what do I do next kind of thing. We have learners that learn by reading. We have learners that learn by being told, and we have learners that learn by doing. And as you all know, in the adult education arena, when you get all three options, reading, hearing, and doing, you've got it made. Nothing takes the place of actually trying it yourself though. So for those of you who have not signed into Zoom and played with all of the bar across the bottom, what you can do, what you need to do, what your options are, your speaker view, your exit clear view, the pro account can do all kinds of really cool things, including share your screen. So for those of you that are doing a presentation and you have a PowerPoint presentation, you can share your screen, you can walk someone through it. If you've got anything that you need to help someone with, you can share your screen and you can help them through it. Not just the host, even the participant. Anyone could share their screen if the authorization is given when the meeting was set up. There's also all kinds of stuff that has been sent to you on how to set up your account. It's really, really cool. Your area directors have received, did I tell you, inundated with stuff? All kinds of step-by-step ways to get this set up to make it easy for you. And not just you, but all of the members of your clubs that are not here tonight. If you've got members that are fearful, uncomfortable with this, and they're not here tonight, reach out to them. See what you can do to help them. If you are uncomfortable doing that, talk to your office. If your club officers are uncomfortable, talk to your area directors. There is someone who can, in fact, help you get this all squared away. The second thing, as I alluded to earlier, we are going to be holding the area contest that had not taken place yet, the area contests, the division contests, and the district contest. Only one, the international contest, will be held on Zoom. So for those of your clubs that are working with WebEx or Google Team, it's really important that you give your contestants that have moved forward to the area contest and the division contest an opportunity to practice on Zoom before they compete. You don't want them to have a disadvantage by never having been comfortable in this platform. It's not drastically different, but there's enough strain in just competing without having that little tiny added onto it. So be careful with that. Only one contest, and it will be on Zoom. The things that you want to make sure you give your contests, download the contest rule book. It's out there on TI. Everyone should have the ability to download it. Read it for yourself. There is also all of the forms. Our district leadership has decided to go with the forms that you download from TI, and you will have them. Print them out. I strongly encourage the Zoom Pro account gives us an opportunity to have breakout rooms, and you can do that. I strongly encourage the chief judge to debrief the judges in an entirely different Zoom meeting. I recommend the evening before. Therefore, everyone's done. There's no confusion. I also recommend that the contestants are briefed in an entirely different meeting than the contest meeting link, preferably the night before, so that all of their questions can be answered, so that they can learn where is the parameter of their box, where is outside of their speaking area, and how they can track everything, just to double check that the last second everything is going on. So leave questions in the chat box if you've got them, And we will answer them when we're done. So let's not have any sidebar conversations because it's distracting. Even in your clubs, don't do that to the speaker that's speaking. It's very distracting to your speaker. Contests. You've got to have judges, and you need to have quite a few of them. This gives us an opportunity to pull judges from every different from other areas, from other divisions, from other districts. We can pull in judges from a lot of different places, and they don't have to travel. This is good. This is a good opportunity for us to make sure that we have the officials that we need to run our clubs clean, neat, and succinctly. We can actually make sure that we have specific training on that a little bit further if more training is required of that. Judges, the rules for the contest have not changed. So if you didn't qualify to be a judge before, you aren't qualified to be a judge now. So make sure you go by the rule book. The only thing that's changed is we are changing our ability to do this online. Let's talk about, a couple of people asked me about the issue of bandwidth. Virtual backgrounds are an option in Zoom. You can have a virtual background, and you can have it look like the ocean. You can have it look like Mexico. You can have it look like anything. Too many people in your meeting with a virtual background, and it is going to eat up your bandwidth. And then you're going to start having connectivity issues. So I strongly encourage, once your meetings get to be a little bit larger, and especially during a contest, to be very careful of who's utilizing a virtual background. That being said, why do people want to use a virtual background? A virtual background helps clean up the area behind us. I don't know if some of you have ever been on a meeting, on an online meeting before, and someone is sitting, these are just a couple of different examples, someone is sitting in the quietest room in their house. They've got small children. They're trying to get away from their small children. They're trying to get to a nice quiet place, and they end up sitting in their laundry room with piles of laundry all the way around them. As sweet as that is to be able to have some clear thoughts, it's distracting for everybody else to look at where you are. I've also been in meetings where people have been either sitting in a reclining chair way back, or even in bed as they're talking. It's distracting to talk to someone who looks like they're in bed and want to go to sleep. So we have to be real. We have to realize that this is a professional option here. This is like meeting in a professional space. Do come prepared to look on screen just like you would in a meeting. So just keep a look at what's behind you and try to do something about it. Now, I'm not saying go buy an expensive background. You can hang a blanket or a white sheet, as plain as whatever it is you want to do. And this is just my office. There's nothing different here. This is just where I live. But not everybody has that. So you want to just take a look, sign into Zoom, look at your background, see what's there, adjust it as you can. Okay? Now, if you start to have some connectivity issues, and some of you will, it'll say your internet is unstable, or you'll see some of that. People will freeze. And when that happens, just give it a moment and it'll unlock, depending on what's happening. I've been in meetings that we've had a severe snowstorm and things happen. So just give it a minute. It just might depend on what's happening there. Let's see. We've talked about some meetings. We've talked about contests. If you've been asked to be an officiate in a contest, please see what you can do to help them out. Other clubs, other areas, other divisions, and other districts if necessary. We all have been in a situation where we're short judges, short officiates. Let's try to help each other out through all of this. So I'm going to encourage you. If you need help, reach out. If you've been reached out to, please consider yes if you can. Let's see. There has been a post recently in the international Facebook, the Toastmasters International Facebook group, and I guess there's a challenge going on right now where interrupters are jumping into our Facebook groups and sharing their screen without permission, and it's a little bit pornography. There's some issues, they're disruptors. I personally have not had that happen to me, but I understand that there's people sitting home that are bored, that have nothing else to do but try to interrupt your meeting. If that happens to you, you can block that person, and there's a setting where you can say, if someone has been removed from the meeting, not to allow them back in. Check your settings when you're setting up your meetings. I personally haven't had it happen, but I've heard of it happening. And we want to, let's face it, the world is a weird place sometimes. So if it happens, deal with it immediately. Block them, get them out of your room, keep them out of your room. Also, there's a setting that says that everyone can share their screen, which I have checked. Some people like to keep that off until you've been given permission. And there's also a setting that says transferring of files, giving permission for people to transfer files. Personally, I do not have that setting on. I don't want someone transferring files to my computer unless I know those files are coming. So be careful when you are the one setting up these Zoom meetings, and check your settings carefully. Read each one, and if you don't know what one means, reach out. Google. Zoom is zoom.us. They have lots of resources. They have a chat also. You can ask them, I don't know what this means. Can you help me? And they'd be more than happy to. The beauty of having a Zoom Pro account at your fingertips is that you are no longer restricted by the free minute. The free version of Zoom has a 40-minute limitation for groups. That no longer applies to you. The Zoom Pro program that you have at your fingertips allows a 24-hour meeting limit. Who's going to have a 24-hour meeting here? And up to 100 people. If you believe you're going to have more than 100 people at a meeting for whatever reason, reach out to Jonathan. I don't believe we are going to bump up against that limitation. I don't believe any one of us in this room is going to have any issues with the Zoom Pro account that we have access to here. Like I said, reach out to Jonathan if you run into any snags. This is a learning curve for a lot of us. Now, I personally have been using Zoom since 2014. I love Zoom. I find it very comforting and very handy and easy to use. You can also record your meetings. Now, the recording of the meetings, just so you know, the host has the option to record the meeting. The host view, whether it's speaker view or gallery view, when you record your meeting, that is the view that you are going to have. So my recordings all look like gallery view with all the Brady Bunch, all my friends with me at the same time. If you want something recorded differently, if you are having your members do a practice on a speech and you want to record that person, you might want to have that on speaker view so that that speaker is in your large screen and record it so they can see themselves. Be cognizant of what view you have when you start your recording. That way you can give them, there's nothing more fun than seeing how bad you look on video, right? Those of you that have done it, you know. So this is how we learn. We will learn and we will benefit from it. You will make some mistakes, and then we learn from that as well. Okay. Do we have any questions, Carolyn? Let's open up to questions. Make sure we've got time to answer everyone's.
Catherine, yeah, go ahead,
Catherine.
Catherine.
So there's a few different questions, some that have been answered, but we can highlight them in case everyone's not looking in chat. So Joe Reed had a really good question. He wanted to know if there could be 2 meetings at the same time for the one pro account.
I believe that you can. I haven't tried it. And obviously the host can only be in one meeting at the same time.
So it'd probably be important to have it selected as people can join before the host.
What
Right.
I read is that you can't
Okay.
have 2 meetings going at the same time.
I personally haven't tried it because I'm in attendance of all my meetings. I've only once had an advanced meeting when I couldn't be in attendance, and because we were using my Zoom account and I couldn't be there, I selected participants can join before host, and I wasn't there. And the meeting went on without a hitch, no problem.
Good.
And I was traveling and I was out of state, and it went fine.
What, can I toss something in here, Angela?
Absolutely,
In response to
Jonathan,
that,
go for it.
I have had a situation where 2 meetings were scheduled at the same time and only one of them can go on. And I have not found anything in Zoom that would prevent you from setting up 2 meetings at a time. So you need to coordinate among yourselves, area directors and division directors, to make sure that 2 meetings aren't set for the same time.
And the nice thing about that is if you do have 2 clubs that are having meetings at the same time, reach out to the next area director, reach out to the next, even if you have to change divisions, let's help each other out. What are the chances? We know we all have meetings on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. We have meetings everywhere. And if that's the case, help each other out. We can do that.
Yeah. Angela, we'll let you schedule 2 meetings for the same time. It just won't let you actually conduct the 2 meetings at the same time.
There you go.
But
Right.
you
No,
have a good
I've
point.
had a couple of meetings scheduled at the same time.
Yeah, and your point where every division has multiple area directors plus the division director. So when there is more than one meeting at the same time, we can, I don't think there's, and if need be, as you say, we can always go to somebody in another division to help out. The meetings can be accommodated.
Well, another thing is I like to have the Zoom room available a half hour before the meeting. And I like that. I like to be there. I like to be ready to roll a half hour ahead of time, because if someone has difficulty logging in or having any difficulties, I want to get all of that technology bunk out of the way before the meeting starts. When our meeting's ready to start, I want us all in our seats, ready to roll and have our meeting and have it go smooth as much as we can. We know stuff is going to happen. We just have to laugh about it, and it's going to be fine. But I try really hard to have our meetings open a half hour ahead of time.
All right, so John Kelly also asked about the other contests, which was answered, that you can hold contests at your club level, but the area and above are only doing the international, I believe.
That's correct.
And
Some of
Sherry-
the areas have already had their meetings. They've already had their area contests, and they've had all three. And to those area directors, I say, you're awesome, you're wonderful. However, going forward to division, we are only going to be doing the international and going forward to district. So, sorry.
That's right. Sherry Poirier also posted a link to a Toastmaster document that gave some additional exceptions, etc., for the speech contest, so people should click on that and save it. There's been some discussion around the virtual backgrounds and whether the contestants would want to use it. Contestants can still use props. They just have to have them within their camera range, I guess. Are we saying anything about whether they would be seated like this and you'd only see their face, or whether they could set their place up so they could be seen fully standing if they had actions that were important?
Our contestants can do as they choose. If they want to step back and do their speech standing up with the camera in the distance, they can absolutely do that. However, there's two things. They're at a little bit of a disadvantage for what they gain in the ability to have everyone see their arms. They lose in the ability for everyone to see their facial expressions. So you gain and you lose. That's why it's really important that we give our people an opportunity to practice as contestants in this format before they actually compete. The second thing on virtual backgrounds, they are cool. I 100% agree they are. Here's the challenge with virtual backgrounds. Depending, and I'm not sure why this happens, but there are times when people have a virtual background and as they're speaking, they get pixelated and they look like they're half there, half not there. It's almost like a Star Trek when they're Beam Me Up Scotty. And for them to lose some of that ability to be fully seen with their facial expressions, they're at the mercy of that tech. They should practice it. That happens. Why it happens, I don't know. I don't have any technology behind me on that, but it happens. So I would think you want to make sure, I wouldn't want that to interfere with a competitor, someone competing. So I would be very careful with that. But please have your people try to practice in this format. Now, I have been told, and all of you are fully aware of it, that those people that have written their speeches already and have won for the international speech contest, and they have won at club, they already have their speech written and formatted for a stage area. They have it big. So realize that we are asking them to reformat their speech for this contest. They are going to have to redo it to the limitations that we have put before them. They can do it, but it is going to they're going to have to readjust, as all of us are going to have to readjust. So have grace with those people and give them an opportunity, or as many opportunities as they feel is necessary, so they're comfortable competing in this format, is my suggestion. Go ahead, Catherine. Sorry, any more questions?
Angela, if I
There
just regarding the virtual background and everything, I think if you have a green screen, that pixelation thing doesn't happen, but not everybody's going to have a green screen. And yeah, you can have some weird things. Jonathan and I were practicing yesterday, and every now and then it looked like a brown horn was growing out of the side of his head when he would move a certain way. And yeah, a contestant really doesn't need that.
Well,
Right,
it takes
and there
away.
is another thing. Heather and I were practicing this yesterday, and if you see I'm holding a red spatula in front of my face, when I move that beyond my face, it disappears. So
Right.
contestants especially need to be very careful about using a virtual background.
Practice,
Beautiful.
practice, practice, practice.
Karen had a good question. Now, where'd it go? She was questioning about how we'd get the forms. How do the counters get the forms? How is that all going to work? Did we cover
Go
that?
on to TI, and there is a contestant
Acceptance?
packet. I think it's a
Okay.
contestant, a contest packet, and you can download everything.
Or the chief judge could email them out.
Yeah, the area and division directors have been given guidelines for conducting the online contests, and it deals with all of that information.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Any more questions, Catherine?
I'm just looking, there's a new one here from Sergio. I think it's talking about how to compete with headset and sitting, and I think you've kind of just covered that about just having to practice with the technology.
Great, thanks. Angela, it's Carolyn. I have a couple of questions, and I'll throw this out not only to Angela, but to anybody who might have any input. With regards to two things, with regards to meetings and having ID numbers and what have you, would it be prudent to create an area directory of club names and meeting dates and IDs, so if people wanted to jump in, they could? Thoughts?
That, I know that's being done through the Facebook group, the Toastmasters International, Official Internationals Facebook page. They're doing that. It probably would be. Here's my concern about, we want to be careful how public you make that. The more public you make that, the more opportunity for disruptors to join your meeting. We want to make it easy for everyone to join each other's meeting. There's no doubt about that. Where that fine line is, I don't know. I don't know how to protect us and still make it available. I welcome anyone's comment on that. But yes, I think it would be really nice. Two things: when you're area directors, when you're setting up your club's Zoom links, it would be really convenient for the clubs as well as their members to make it a little bit easier for them if you set up one link and have it reoccurring, so they don't have many different links to consider, that it remains consistent for that club. It's going to happen. We're going to mess up. Things are going to happen. But do you see how if they have just the same link to go to and then make sure we're a little bit consistent, it makes it just a little bit easier for our members. The whole idea of doing this is to make it as easy as possible for our members to participate, have fun, and continue on their Toastmasters journey in a different virtual arena rather than the in-person clubs until we can make it back to there. We want to try to make it as fun as we can, try to make it as easy as we can, try to make it as welcoming as we can, so that people who get frustrated, people that are struggling, don't just say, this is way too hard for me, I'm just simply not going to do that. Reach out to those people. Let's make it as easy as we possibly can.
Thanks, Angela. The other question I had is at club level. It's great for people who want to jump in and be the moderator and do the whole thing. And hopefully there'll be a setup like Catherine and I have, where you interchange with the person running a chat box. But we need to find a way, I believe, to motivate club members to become moderators, like not just once, maybe like for 2 or 3 times in a row, so they get used to the familiarity of Zoom, and the same thing with a chat box person? What are your thoughts?
We have our Toastmaster is the person in the club level, and even on Zoom in our meetings, our Toastmaster runs the meeting. We have added 2 additional roles to our Zoom meetings that we did not have in our in-person meetings. One of them is a, shoot, what do we call that person? We have a person that actually, if I could find a,
Body language master?
that's it. Thank you. Brain cramp. You are awesome. Body language master. That body language master gives their report at the end of the meeting, just like our counter, is how we did looking at the camera, which is looking at each other, because we have a tendency to look at a photo, instead of looking into the camera. Did we look off? What did we do? Did we scratch our head? Did we rub our chin? Did we rub our nose? All of those weird things that we do, not just as presenters and Toastmasters and role takers, but all of those people as participants in the meeting. That body master, that person reports on everyone. So that way we can get better with how we act and how we are seen on screen. The second thing that we just added was a chat master, which is not the Toastmaster, and it is not the presenters, and it is not the general evaluator. Their job is to simply manage the chat room and bring to the attention to the Toastmaster, heaven forbid there's a systems glitch, or someone's making too much noise, or someone's doing all of this stuff. They can bring to the Toastmaster's attention whatever needs to be brought to their attention, as well as making sure that new people that join in late get recognized as the meeting goes along as well. So I would strongly encourage you to add those 2 roles onto your club meetings, because it makes it easier all the way around. And everyone takes a turn. Just like you take a turn as Toastmaster, you take a turn as chat master, and take a turn as body language master.
Something that Mark Hinkle said on the chat that fits with that. They said all of us look very serious and we should be smiling in the camera and look like we're interested, because we look
Let
so
me
serious.
tell you, one of the things that I like to do when I am evaluating a speaker at the club level, I like to keep my monitor on gallery view, because not only do I want to see what the speaker is doing with their facial expressions and their voice inflection and their message, I want to see how their message is being received by the members in the club. So I want to see if they're smiling. I want to see if they're laughing. I want to see if they're nodding off or they're bored. I want to see that. That being said, I also tell the participants, we see you. Unlike at a regular meeting that you might sit in the 3rd row and you might not be seen, here you are on gallery view, front and center for everyone to see the entire meeting. We can see what you're doing. And there are things that we do that aren't necessarily bad things, but they look like we're not paying attention. For instance, I'm a paper girl, as all of you know. I take notes. And when I take notes, I am not looking at everyone else. It's rude to do this too often, because people think it looks like I'm not paying attention, even though I am. We also added a 3rd role. We added a role, and I can't think of the name of it, and someone in the main thing help me out. My brain's tired.
Quizmaster.
Quizmaster. Thank you, Bill. We added a role of Quizmaster. The Quizmaster at the end of the meeting asks questions of everyone in the room to see how well we were listening to everything. The speakers, the table topics response, all of it. and even the evaluators. That quiz master asks all kinds of questions, and you will know at the end of the meeting who was paying attention and who wasn't paying attention. It forces you to stay involved with the meeting. Another thing that we do, and I didn't mention this earlier, and I'm going to mention it now, the speaker wants to have your response. They want to know they're connecting with their audience. Making noise is distracting if for any reason you do not have your thing on your microphone on mute. So we don't clap. As Toastmasters, we clap for everything. We don't do that. We do this. We smile and we nod and we give kudos every other way possible but making noise, so that we can keep the speaker front and center doing what they do. Anyone else?
Just quickly, Angela, we have 3 minutes left, everybody. Any last minute quick questions, Catherine? And because Angela has something else she wants to say when questions are finished.
What about using thumbs up?
Thumbs up works? Absolutely.
But you have to be in the participant list to see them, right?
Thumbs up, thumbs down, especially when a speaker asks you a question.
Like
How
physical.
many of you were this? Yes, this, yeah, absolutely. As long as you are communicating with that speaker, whatever it takes, just try to be quiet.
There's also
You can
thumbs up in
see
the
those-
chat in the participants list that you can see if they're raising their hand in the participants list. But if, like in this meeting where there's now still 87 on, if you raise your hand, I don't know that it's going to be seen necessarily easily because you have to scroll down through the list.
In the Zoom meeting, the hand raised is only seen by the host. So if you are the speaker, you don't see the hand raising. So be careful with that. So if you want, I'm not the host. So if you want to talk to me, I would like you to get my attention this way or some other way. We can still communicate, but only the host sees the hand raising.
Great.
Jonathan, I think you started to say something.
The only thing I wanted to say is if there are a lot of questions, we could go on a little over time without imposing on you, Angela, since you're doing the answers to questions. But this is really critical information here tonight. So
No problem.
if people have questions, then we can stay on a little longer.
Thank you. Catherine, anything more?
Myself on mute, sorry. Someone's raised a good question, and I was thinking about this too. What about the timing? How is the timing, the timer letting everyone know about the time?
Okay, timing. That's really interesting, and there's a couple of different ways you can do that. An easy way, every club has timing cards, and I don't happen to have a timing card in front of me, so we'll pretend that this is a timing card. The timer times on their phone or whoever there is, and they can hold up that timing card. Let's say this is green. Not only do we have a green color, we like to see it say green on it as well. However, if the speaker only has speaker's view, they may or may not see that timer. Right now, we've got 4 pages of participants in this meeting. That timer might not be front and center. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. The main thing has tried many different ways, and what we found works is if we say green, because as you speak, it comes up and they can hear you. Now, there are some, and this works quite nicely too, that has their virtual background change. Red, green, yellow, red. And the same issue is if we've got more than 1 page of people, you might not be seen. Unless you make a noise, you will not come to the front. So somehow we need to make a noise. We've laughed with beep. We've laughed with ding, ding, ding. Whatever it takes, try it with your club. Have fun with it. Practice it. There's all kinds of different ways. Some people have I'm trying to find my phone, have the Toastmasters app on their phone, and they just hold their phone up so you can see the red the green, the yellow, the red, and you can do that as well. There's all different ways to get it done. We don't need to buy something fancy. We don't need to spend a ton of money. All we need to do is just help that speaker know where they're at in their timing
Angela.
for their speech. Who's that? Lawrence?
Hi.
Hi.
And
Simple solution. Go to dollar store or Dollar Tree or whatever and buy a package of construction paper and pull the red, yellow, and greens out of it. And this is what we use a lot of.
Yep, that works perfect. I've even pulled
Angela.
out my office at the last second, red folders, yellow folders, green folders when we've forgotten different things. Michael has a comment. Hi, Michael.
yeah, hi, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, you certainly are, you've been doing a very good job. I find the calling out the colors or times distracting as a speaker. And
It is a
what
little
I
bit
find that
distracting.
works. Yeah, but what I find that works is I like to pin myself because I like to see what I'm doing when I'm speaking. And the ribbon that's left along the top, you can adjust so that the person who's the timer is in that strip. And I don't find that they jump around a lot. So that is another option to having the timer call out green, red, yellow.
So
but
what
I mean,
Michael's
everyone-
saying is that you can pin the timers, Hollywood Square or Brady Bunch tile up. What I find is that makes them bigger than I want them to be. And I find it's bigger than the speaker. And I don't like that at all. But some people like that. And that works for a lot of people. I know Heather Turner does that too, and she likes it.
Yeah.
The only thing is when we're timing ourselves and we don't want to get into this habit, you can time yourself when you're practicing, but when you are competing, you cannot time yourself. You need to know it. And you're not going to have that time in front of you. So just practice.
Angela, I don't think that was really quite what Mike was saying. He wasn't saying to pin the timer. I mean, that is an option. But when you put it on speaker view, you always still have usually four showing up in a thumbnail, thumbnail videos either at the top or on the side. You can
Correct.
scroll through that to get your timer. And then those people don't usually change. So your timer will stay there and be visible. So if the speaker puts themselves on speaker view so that they can have a better idea of how they're looking, and they can still make sure that the timer is in one of those thumbnail ones on the side or at the top, wherever it happens to show. And I think that's what Mike was referring to.
Okay.
What's
Yeah,
happened on
practice
my-
with it.
What's happened on my screen? So I have 3 screens on the go here. And so on this, I have the gallery view here in center on my laptop, and I just pinned Michael, and now all I see is Michael and a few little pictures. And I have Angela on the right-hand screen, and I only see her there, and then I have the chat window on this screen. So I think it depends on how many screens you're working with as well.
I can tell you from corporate, getting used to multiple screens and then being home, I only have my laptop. It's beautiful having multiple screens. It really is. And it spoils us to death. But when you have one and it's your laptop, you start having to make some concessions. And that's where, and I agree with Michael, it's a little bit unnerving to have a noise. But once you realize what that noise is, you don't have to be looking. As a speaker, you don't have to be looking, searching for that timer and be worried about it because you know you're going to hear that. Practice with it, try it, see what you can do. The other thing that I mentioned on the Q&A that we had a couple of days ago that I didn't mention here that I want to make sure that I mention is if you put your cursor in your square, there's 3 boxes. And if you go down, no, mine's not going to do that. No, I guess, well, isn't that strange? It doesn't do it on here. I don't know why. On mine, if I right click, I can rename myself. So you can put speaker 1, Angela, speaker 2, Thomas, evaluator 1. You could rename the square so that everyone coming into that meeting knows who you are and what role you're playing that meeting. You can rename that every single meeting with no issues. And I think that's brilliant to be able to do that. Heather
It's a
has something
setting.
to say.
I think it's a setting.
Angela,
Yes.
can you see what color that round dot is on my screen?
It looks completely white to me.
That's what I was afraid of. That's what I'm seeing too. It's bright red. So
I
that
can't see
there
it.
may be an issue with using this as a backup.
Yep.
Well, actually, no, we covered that in the instructions that were sent out last night, everybody. We say very specifically to label your cards so that they are green, red, and yellow, because you're completely right, Heather. With color variations, with lighting and things like that, things wash out.
Yep.
So if you do go to the dollar store and buy a card, if you use a file folder, please write red, green, yellow on it. Thank you for bringing that up.
Jonathan sent out an entire packet that looks like this. I don't know if you guys can read it. And it says online contest, an entire packet of what to do in detail. I would strongly encourage you to also practice with your team. Just do a mock something just for a few minutes to make sure everyone knows what they're doing. But this went out to, I believe, all the division directors and all the area directors. Correct, Jonathan?
Yes, exactly.
So if you're not an area director or division director, your area director does have this. And this is his team, his brilliant team, and I don't know who they are. Well done. Well done. And read through them, because this has got it's going to answer a lot of questions before you stress about how to run a contest. Don't stress. Read through it. If you've got questions, reach out. Anyone else? Catherine?
Yeah, Angela, I was just
Heather.
looking for the renaming thing. Like you, I've seen it before, but I cannot find it here.
It's the weirdest thing. I don't know if it's been
It's a setting when you set it up. So maybe
There you go. When we were doing our Q&A, it was right there for everyone to use.
Yeah.
So check your settings. And if you are an area director setting up for your clubs, please give them that opportunity to do that, because it's a nice feature to have. It is a nice feature to have. So please look at the settings when you're setting it up.
Angela, don't forget about the jazz hands.
Jazz hands, absolutely. It's important.
Ileana has noted that McCain Toastmasters, the timer shares their screen with the timing device so that people can see it. I'm not sure whether that takes us away from the speaker or not.
It does take away from the speaker, and I wouldn't try it. If you like it, try it. I don't like it, but try it.
There's been a couple of questions about any options or suggestions for a camera and a mic, whether a mic would be needed.
A microphone is needed. Well, if you're using a laptop, it's built in, and I just use, headsets or earbuds. If you're using a PC, I personally am not techie enough to tell you what mic to buy or what camera to buy or whatever. I know we've got some incredibly techies in here. Michael Thompson might have some really good ideas for you. I'm going to say try not to spend a ton of money here. This is not what we're here to ask you to do. We're not asking you to go into debt and come up with this fantastic studio. That's not what we're here to do. We're asking you to continue your Toastmasters journey so that you can continue on with your educationals and continue having fun in Toastmasters. So I don't know, Michael, if you want to jump in here or not and give your 2 cents on that comment.
Sure. I was going to mention something else, but I'm not an expert on microphones and stuff like that, but I'm just using like a Bluetooth headset here, right? And I'm taking it off so that you can see it. And I hope that wasn't too disturbing for everyone. But it was like $25 or $30 from Amazon. And I use it with my phone as well as with my laptop. And it seems to give the pretty good quality in terms of my voice. You guys are probably in a better position to let me know that or not.
I can hear you. I guess that works.
Yeah. So I think, you know, you're right. You don't need to go and spend a whole bunch of money. If you can work with Bluetooth, then I would recommend getting a Bluetooth headset. So if you have to move away from the screen, you don't lose the audio portion of the meeting. You know, when you have to go chasing the kids or something, but mute yourself before you go chasing the kids. Anyway.
And then I've had some other people that say that they've had some issues with Bluetooth not being with connectivity. So I choose to plug in and I'm tethered. So it also reminds me not to leave. So I'm kind of, when I'm stuck here, I'm stuck here because I'm tethered, but I just use earbuds and it seems to work okay. And I try not to bounce. If any of you have ever been at an event where I'm presenting, I'm all over the place. I'm on one side and the other side and in the group and out of the group. And for me to stand behind a lectern and or sit in a seat is a struggle for me. So just so you know, we can do this. We can do this. Oh, Mark Hinkle has a good point. For those of us wearing glasses, for those of us getting older, and that's me, I need glasses to read. One of the things you want to be really careful of, lighting reflects badly in glasses. So be very careful as you're presenting because we look a little wacko when we've got our, I mean, there are times when I need my glasses to see, but this is what we see. We've got a reflection problem and it's not just me, it's everyone. So those of you wearing glasses, be careful of your lighting with your reflections. Now, Lawrence had a good point. He said that Zoom works with phones. And let me tell you something, it does. I'm going to encourage you as our leaders to encourage your members to show up to your club meetings on camera. And here's the reason. They would show up to a Toastmasters meeting in person. It's easy to get into the habit of hiding behind a name and a black screen. Once you get into that habit, it's really, really hard to break it. We want to see your pearly whites. We want to see you participating. We don't care if your hair's a mess or you got a black eye from your puppy biting you in the face, which I probably do. Anyway, just saying, we would rather see your face than see you show up on your phone without, you're not really participating. We can hear you, you can talk, but we can't see you. And although that you can get away with that in a pinch, it's really important. Carol, you're sharing your screen. Do you know you're sharing your screen?
I just
don't know
unmuted the mic. Now you
sorry.
can hear us.
Sorry.
So I'm Warren. We're sharing a screen because if we use two computers, the audio gets extremely confusing.
No, sharing a computer, I mean, being in the same room is not an issue. When I said sharing your screen, we could see your laptop. You could see your desktop. And I don't know if you realized that.
Oh, no.
When you share, on the bottom of your screen, there is your toolbar. And there's a green folder that says share. When you hit that share box, that means that we can see your desktop. If you were going to present a PowerPoint presentation, or if you were going to share a file with us or anything, that's what you would do. You would hit that share, and then your desktop would come up, and hopefully you have your PowerPoint presentation already set, and the presenter would go with that.
Okay, I didn't hit it, but it's showing green. That must mean it's connected?
Well, no, we all saw your desktop a few minutes ago.
Okay.
So,
Let me
and
see that.
and be careful with that, folks. If you've got something on your desktop you don't want anybody to see, if you share it and it's there, everybody saw it. So just be careful.
So how do I unshare it?
You're unshared. You're good. Now you're sharing it again.
Okay, it's not undoing. I don't see any way to shut it off.
Go to the
There should be a red
Click
box
share
at the
and-
top that says stop share. Or Carolyn, as host, you can also stop his sharing.
there you go. Yeah. So be careful, folks, when you're doing that.
Oh, now it's
Somebody was asking where to go for more answers to questions. I suggested they talk to the area governor, the director, and how to do the practicing. I would assume the area directors will also provide that details to their clubs.
Right. This is what we're going to do too. Do you remember when we were first introduced to pathways? When our pathways guides came to our clubs and they showed us on the screen, you press this button, press this button, press this button, and everything worked beautifully. And it was like, this is easy. And then you got home and you tried to do pathways yourself and it didn't work exactly the way you thought it was going to work and you struggled a little bit. That's when you came up with your questions. So going forward, we're going to have a Zoom helpline on Monday evenings at 7:15. If you have questions, we'll make the link available. You can link in, ask your questions as we're proceeding through this. You might not have your question tonight until you try it. When you try it, jot it down, write your question down. Monday at 7:15, show up, ask your questions. You can share your screen if you're stuck. I can share my screen to help you get unstuck. We're going to have some people helping man this for you to get all of your questions answered. So this isn't like you're done, get on your own, and if you got a problem, say la vie, ask your area director. We're not going to do that to you. We're going to continue answering your questions. We want you to succeed. We want District 45 to succeed during this coronavirus, regardless of our social distancing limitations. We're going to succeed anyway, folks. We're going to get this done. We can do this.
Angela, I have a couple, it's Carolyn. I have a
Hi.
couple of thoughts. One is with regards to recording. People need
Yes.
to be aware that you can record in two places, on the cloud or on your computer. Now, what
It
happens?
records, you save it to the cloud or you save it to your computer, and you get to, as the host, you get
Choose,
to
yeah.
choose where
Right.
it saves. The
If-
other thing is, if you're going to record it, I would strongly encourage you let everyone know you're recording them before you start recording. In case you've got guests in the room and they aren't familiar and they don't want to be recorded. It's only common courtesy to do that. So make sure you let them know, ask their permission, and if there's an issue, deal with it at that moment. But don't simply record it without notifying anyone. For those of you that can see your screen, you can tell that it's being recorded by the top left corner. You should see a recording button.
Right up there.
Okay.
No, I agree with you. But one of the thoughts that our club was kicking around, and other people may or may not be interested, is to record the speeches and the evaluations with everybody's permission, and to put them on our website page, and to draw traffic to us, either from other clubs or from outsiders who want to know what Toastmasters is all about.
Sure,
Yeah.
get creative. The other thing with recording, the nice thing about Zoom is if you record your session, it also records your chat.
Yeah.
So it'll record it in a separate file so you can keep track of the questions to make sure if someone wanted to go back or make sure everyone was responded to, and you can review it a second time. The host is the one that will have that recording.
Right. what I'm saying about because when I record it and put it on YouTube, it downloads automatically to my document file and
There you go.
stays there until I put it up on YouTube.
And it records as an MP4. And
Correct.
it also records as an audio, and
Yes.
it records the chat. So you get 3 files, which is pretty stinking cool.
I agree. Any further questions?
Marina's got a
Angela,
question.
yes, good evening. How are you?
Good.
I just wanted to mention something I put in the chat column. It's a little app for your smartphone called Speaker Clock. I don't remember if it was just really inexpensive or if it was free. And it's very useful for online speaking because you can have it propped up in front of you and running as you're speaking. So it fills in that it's a fail-safe. If you can't see the timer, you'll at least have your phone, and that's all it has on it when Speaker Clock is running. It's not useful for live presentations because if you're like me, you're walking around a lot, you're not in one spot, but for online, it's really a perfect solution.
There you go. Nice. Technology is pretty awesome when you get out there.
It is. And thank you for
Fantastic.
this. Wonderful. Thanks a lot.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. I'll keep you posted.
Lizette was wondering if who in the executive is responsible for setting up the meetings? Probably the VP of Ed still, right? So it's
For
Zoom.
setting up the meetings, I would think the your area director and I would say the exec team, the president and the VP Ed can all get together and they can decide who's going to meet with the area director and get that squared away. Work together, folks. As you can tell, I'm more team oriented than it's your job. I really have a problem with someone saying, yeah, that's your job. That's your job. It's everybody's job until we get it done. That's the way I look at it.
Paul Cunningham was asking about how people would send out or share the agenda for the club meeting.
Okay. So here, we've had this question before and we've struggled with this on the main thing. We tried to figure out a way to get the agenda to show up in the chat, and we have not been able to figure that out well. We use free toast host. So this is what I have done in the past. I have gone out to free toast host before the meeting and printed off the agenda so that I have it in front of me. I have also been without a printer in a place where I didn't have access to a printer. I've pulled up free toast host and jotted it down on a scrap piece of paper. Who's the Toastmaster? Who's the timer? Who's the speaker 1, speaker 2, da, 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 da. So I have that in front of me. I believe, and this is just my opinion, we're all adults and we should all come prepared to the meeting to do our job. Now, I know it's in the world of being president and VPE in the past, I've come prepared to hand out agendas. In this world, we could email agendas out, and some people do. I just think we ought to take care of ourselves and come prepared to do our part in the meeting. You may have a different opinion, and you may want to take that job on out to email your agenda to all your club members. If that's the case, kudos to you.
So a couple of different people have said you can print it to PDF and upload it in the chat.
I've tried it. I haven't had any success doing it, but some people say it can be done. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it successful yet. But then again, as all of you know, I'm not all that techie. So good luck to you if that works for you. If that works, fantastic. But I have not been successful doing that yet.
Use Microsoft Print to PDF and it'll be fine.
Good. Try it. Try it. Try it.
Angela?
Yes.
Marina again.
Hi, Marina.
I do see a little button at the bottom of the chat box that says file. When I click on that, I can go to my computer and choose a file. Have you tried that and it has not worked? Because that would obviously be the perfect solution, because then everyone could see it in chat.
I've tried it. I haven't got it to work, but
right now,
if you guys get it to work, please
well,
jot down how you did it and send it out so everyone can benefit.
Okay.
This is Mike Aaron. I think if you do that, it shows up in the chat as an attached document, and then you can just download it.
Ah,
See,
You
that's
could
what I
just
thought
email it
too.
to people prior to the meeting, and everyone has the PDF on a separate screen.
Yeah, it doesn't show up as something you can just view.
Oh,
You have
no.
to download it somewhere. So you might as well just get it from Free Toast Host and be done with it. At least that's my thoughts.
yeah, I agree.
Doesn't make it easy. We'll learn all the ins and outs of it, that's for sure.
Any other questions or concerns? Angela, you wanted to make reference to part 4?
Yes. So those of you, this is the part 3 of the Zoom training that we've done. Part 4 is going to be the Zoom helpline. And that's going to start on Mondays at 7:15. So, and we'll go as many Mondays as we have people that are interested in getting their questions answered. What I didn't want to do is say, you're on your own, folks, you're on your own. And what I'll be doing is looking for people to help man that helpline. So reach out. It'll all be good.
Super, Angela. I think we all really, really appreciate all that you're doing to help us in this time. This is the 3rd we've had this week. The 4th is going to be quite ongoing. And I congratulate the nearly 100 people we had online tonight. I think everybody in this district is very excited and up to meeting the demands of this very peculiar situation that we're all globally stuck in. And I hope that the things that we're learning here will prompt us to remember what Toastmasters is really all about, and that is always being able to learn new things and new ways to communicate. So thank you very much, Angela.
Very welcome. And folks, don't forget that there are Pathways projects that easily dovetail into what we're doing. Easily dovetail. Heather Perkins was mentioning the other night, level 4 is running an online meeting. There's an elective in there. There's all kinds of dovetailing of pathways that you can easily do in an online forum. So take advantage of those options, participate, take a look at it, get creative, have fun. When we're having fun, trust me, other people are having fun too. If we are not having fun, if we are bored to tears, and if we are frustrated, and if we're not having a good time, nobody's having a good time. So let's be the leaders to have a good time. Let's make these meetings fun. We can do it. Let's have a blast. Let's have a blast, and we'll have fun doing it. I turn everything back over to our moderator for the evening, which is Carolyn. Carolyn, thank you.
Well, thank you, Angela, for your knowledge, your experience, and your enthusiasm. Way heads up. And I'd like to thank everybody for participating tonight. Have a great week, and we'll see you on the Q&A. Stay safe, everyone.
Stay healthy, everybody.
You too, everyone.
And stay positive.
Everybody smile. Jeez.